And as part of the condition for ratifying the Constitution, the supporters of the Constitution agreed to add a Bill of Rights. And James Madison was the one who took the lead in this effort to add the Bill of Rights. And he had spent a lot of time thinking about bills of rights and what they were good for and what they weren't good for. And one of the arguments that he'd been very attracted to was this idea that the list would be incomplete and that would be bad. So as he explained when he introduced the Bill of Rights, he added a provision to deal with that argument. And that provision was the Ninth Amendment. The Ninth Amendment says, I'm sure it's on the tip of all of your tongues, as it is for most of us. The Ninth Amendment says, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage other rights retained by the people. Now, when you think about it, that's exactly the language you would use to say that there are unenumerated rights, right? You'd say, yes, there are enumerated rights, but that's not a complete list. How else could you say that better? You could use fewer commas than Madison used, but their punctuation was a little bit odd in those days. And if you read carefully what Madison said in introducing the Ninth Amendment, he really nailed down the fact that that's what he's trying to do. So Madison's solution was add the Ninth Amendment, make it clear that there are unenumerated rights. In the period after 1800, this idea of unenumerated rights, of unwritten legal rules that were in the background, remained powerful. The anti-slavery movement in particular relied heavily on this idea to explain why slavery was unacceptable because inconsistent with what they called the law of nations, the law that governed humanity generally and governed relationships between nations. We don't have anything that with quite that same scope in current law. It combined bits and pieces. If you were looking for law school courses, you would find there's a little bit of it here, there's some in the international law course, there's some in the constitutional law course, but we don't categorize those things as all being united the way they did then. And the people who were arguing this about slavery were the same ones who wrote the 14th Amendment, which among other things applied the Bill of Rights to the states, but they also made it clear that they didn't think rights were created by some enumeration. Rights exist prior to an enumeration, and the Constitution merely acknowledges those rights. So I think if you read the Constitution carefully and just take a look at what the language is saying, or if you go and look at the language of Madison and others during the period, it seems to me that the message of the Ninth Amendment is pretty unmistakable.